Part 6 of Exodus. And again, need to pull it up. Left off that now, yeah, I left off that this text is now going to jump someplace else in the storyline. Okay. Now, what you're seeing here is Moses now summoned the elders to explain all these words why he commanded him. These are now, when I'm getting here, this is going to be him setting up the tent. So now, in the storyline, and getting confusing, now we're back here, okay? We were here, then we were to rule, then we're back here fighting, now we're back here, okay? So that's how messed up Exodus really is in the storyline here. So what did he command them? And like I was explaining last video, sometimes I just don't have the words to put in here. I might add words later, but that's because this text is so far away from the subject. I don't have enough to grasp to put it in at this time. And they answered that they will do all that he commanded us, we will do. Now I'm thinking this is after he spoke, after our Creator talked to them and told them that and described the 12 commandments. 12 commandments don't come up till chapter 20, the verse part of 20. So here we're getting close, but this is going to go with that text, okay? That he talked to them, they understood what he said, and then Moses is going to command them to go down and talk to him again. Then our Creator calls them back and told him. I think this has him going back up the hill. No. But the object here is then our Creator talked to Moses. And a lot of times his words would come right into your head, or in the text, at least, of these people, that he would tell them through his head. He didn't need to speak to him aloud, or maybe he did, other than the bush. But I don't specifically know. We just don't have a lot of the words in the text every time our Creator talked to him. So that's why when people search these, they're going to say, well, he must have talked to him in his head. So, and this is to get ready on the third day, and I will come and meet with them. Okay. So that's what was neat about this text. I first thought it was back there where he's going to talk to him. I think in the last video I was wrong when I said what I said say, and here now you're seeing that he's going to come talk to him, and he'll be in a thick cloud. Well, get rid of those words, and he will come down and meet with them, not in the sight of all the people. He will meet with them. That's why he said prepare themselves for 3 days when he comes down and meet them. And it could have been the next day. Okay, I'm just going to leave third day here. So a lot of times the numbers aren't going to be exact, but this gives a time for all the people, 600,000, to actually understand what's going on, tell them, spread the word, understand it. They're all going to be discussing it, and then they're all going to gather. They're going to leave all their livestock alone. And they're going to come to where they're going to be told to come, and our Creator's going to talk to them. So 3 days is very a reasonable number here. You can't have it. 1 doesn't work. 2, yes. 3, more reasonable. So on the third daylight, a horn, not a trumpet, but a horn sounded from the cloud. Now here it doesn't say that it come from the cloud. That's going to be in other text, other places. But the object is not a trumpet, but a horn sounded. And then all the people trembled. Now here's the commandments that he's going to describe. There's better stories of them meeting, or another story of them meeting, but this is the only place where we've got commandments. Okay. Now, Yeah, I guess I'll just continue here. Needed the word creator here, and there is no other creator. Now he's explaining himself, and is this a command? No, it's there to understand he is the creator. He's just starting to talk to him. Now it comes his request. You will not make, not a request, but the first commandment. Okay, you will not make an idol of me. Now, if you notice, there's only two subject words here, idol and me, and I don't need to add more words. I'm going to use the word me uh, because of the subject of our creator is such greatness in the text. I don't need to add a third word here to complete the verse or any likeness of me. Okay, commandment number one. You will not worship another or serve another. So there's two commands here. Okay. Now here, it's just words that are not. I don't believe our Creator needed to tell them. He's telling them the commandments. I don't know what else he told them at the time, but this little interruption of the commandments doesn't fit the format. Okay. Um, or I don't care if it fits or not. But the thing here is, I want the order of the commandments. You will not say my name in vain. The word vain might get changed to curse. Um, a lot of people think that they know his name today, and how would you be able to say that, use his name in vain? People, Christians today, thinks the title word God is his name. And our God said this, and our God said, that's fine, but it's a title, and to use the title correctly. So here, today, if they're saying the word God in a cursive way or in a useless way, do not use my name uselessly. I could use that word here instead of the word vain. I haven't got these all set yet. I'm just going to leave this here, and if I change it, I'll explain why. For I created everything. We know this is true, so I could put that in there because not leave him unpunished or who takes his name in vain. See how all of a sudden our Creator would be talking in third person. So pretty much this text pretty much tells me it was made up. Then you'll remember your holy days. Now, the holy days is going to be described for the first time. So it's so out of order. Because we already had on the seventh day, you're going to get more. So until you can actually have holy days, then this happens. Okay. So where does all the text actually supposed to go? When you put all the stories together, we're going to find not every book I can put into order because other books are all going to be mashed in, and I'm going to put them all together from what I can find as these formats. In 6 days, you can do your work, okay? But on the seventh is your holy to me, and you'll do no work. Finally, we have a sixth by no work, and you are to remember the holy days because they are the days that are to be with him. So should I put number 5 down here instead of up here? That's very possible. But when I'm using the word remember, it's very important to remember that you're supposed to take that day and share it with your family about our Creator. Not that you're just supposed to not do any work. This, I cannot say that this is not the fifth commandment and it doesn't belong. Like people are going to argue, well, he's making this up and it's just not to do any work. The purpose is that they are holy days, not Sabbath, holy days. And for them to be holy, you must be with our Creator, okay? Um, and this he would not ever said either, but now we're going to get into the seventh. You will honor your mother and father, or your father and mother. You will not you will honor your parents. 7. You will not kill willingly. I have to add the word willingly. You have to understand that these are going to become sins because there's only 12 sins, okay? And that is because our Creator is going to demand that any not obeying of any of these to bring a sin offering. So these have to be sins. Our Creator's defining these 12 as sins. There is no original sin. There is now our Creator, because he's making an offer to stay in his nation, as he's establishing it as this is the way he wants a nation to exist unto him. You cannot kill willingly, because if it's an accident, you can be forgiven that you did that. Later, you're going to find out that anybody that kills exactly because they did want to kill somebody, had a plan for it, execute that person now, stone him, kill him now. There's going to be a blood avenger for that reason from the family. So it has to be having the word willingly here, okay? Because if it wasn't willingly, he can still now make his offering. There are going to be cities that are created to hear the argument for disputes, and they're called refuge cities, and they're pretty much set up by our Creator as soon as they clear out the promised land. But here, I have to add the word willingly. You will not commit adultery. These are two different things. Adultery. Now, that's 9. You will not steal. Number 10. You will not give false witnessing against your neighbor. Well, I don't need this. False witnessing against anyone. Okay. You will not have lust for your neighbors. The word covet. Let's take a look at that under the theorists here. Over here, you can see not want, crave, and desire. Let me go over here. Oops. I need the mouse over here. Uh-oh, low battery. Hope to get through this video without this turning off, because it's going to be awfully hard. I'll have to end the video. This is 20. Yeah, I'll let you work. You see the little problem I've got trying to see a small screen here. 20, and this is 17. Let's get to here. 17, you should not covet. And down here, desire, attracted, attracted, desired, pleasing. When you look at the text here, it has to be lust for your neighbor. And this would be wanting to have marriage with the opposite or outside your wife or your husband. So this lusting is a sin as well. Not covet. The word covet is just too broad of a word to be said what it is, because when you get down through all here, it's pretty much not stealing from your neighbors or taken from your neighbors. So it can't be the same as this here commandment. It has to mean something. But when you look at what's going on here, your neighbor's wife, male servant or female servant, that fills with the word lust and neighbors, because they didn't have slaves. They could have had servants, but they are not slaves. But the object is, I'm using the word lust to understand that as a sin. Am I influencing the text? Yes. Is it the best word I can come up with? Yes. Does it Is it the truth here? The best I can do. Okay, and then now it's going to be YHVH's commandments. This is Moses going to be talking, but the verses aren't here. And then Moses shouted to the people because they're all in front of him, and their creator's left. Now he's going to say, "These are the commandments." Okay, and you are to obey, not set them before you. You're to obey them. They're going to be off. You have to have an atonement if you disobey these. So these have to be, the word has to be obey to be truthful here. And you can redeem an Israeli from a work prison. This is so, I had to do a lot of influencing on this text to get this, because you have to understand there are too many stories later of describing this 6 years that you can hire them, but at the start of the 7th years, every 7th years, they're going to be blown, a horn is going to be blown, and everyone in the country that had been debt or been working as to pay their debt off, it's over with. Forget it. So they could be in this work prison for 2-3 years before somebody hires them, but the object is that it's a work prison, that these people that are fallen short of promising when they get a loan are stuck into a prison, but they can be hired out to work off that debt. The debt is paid to the one that sent them there, and they were judged to, most likely judged to have to be stuck in this area. But it's these 6 years that can work for it. They can get out early if their debt is paid. Don't think that they have to work the full 6 years until their debt is paid. But it's at this time, it is on the 6 years that they can work up to that long if their debt is that bad. And then on their 7th years, they will leave to be free. He will redeem them, release. That's why I'm using the word redeem them. To buy, you're not buying, you're redeeming that person from prison by hiring them, and you will pay off the debt that you would pay a regular worker. So you can help family members by hiring them out of the work prison to work for you, and you'll pay off the debt for them. This is just so against our Creator. This whole verse is so against Creator. I just want to point out, sometimes the text is so oversalted, and anybody who reads this and tries to preach this is an absolute fool. Okay, it's completely against our Creator's way of life. One male, one female, period. That's it. Everything else, even later when you're separated and divorced with somebody else, you have to say you're an adulterer now. Okay, the thing here is you live with it and move on. But you have to also understand that you did not obey our Creator correctly. Who injures their father or mother, they are to be stoned. Now we have laws. Now these are laws. These are completely separate. Okay, should have mentioned that here, but that Moses is he's going to start telling them the other laws here. Until they're all put together, I don't know. This could have been before they were judging. He sat and judged in this, type of thing. So I don't think this fell in order as it does here in this text, but I'm pretty sure that I left it in this order. So I don't think he started telling them this right off the bat. I just know that these are the things that he had already talked about our Creator, and these are not commandments. These are laws. Who kidnaps is to be stoned to death, or tries to sell them. Or if, whether, the word whether means if, they sell them try to sell them, they shall be stoned to death. Having a quarrel and strikes one another with anything. And then the text doesn't tell us quite what's going on. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay. You can see this verse here, these 3 verses and these 3 verses go together. A lot of times, these 2 don't go together as a larger paragraph. So, but these 2 do. And the penalty for this anything, which pretty much describes a stone or a fist or whatever, who struck them will pay for their loss. This is talking about who is quarrel and strikes somebody. That means it's to injure, like up here, injure. Okay. So if this text is completely out of order, so this text and this text go together. I don't know what I did to actually combine them here and moved one to another. So I tried to group them as what would be described as what was the penalty to this, because like it says, injures. Down here, it's the argument that they strike one another of anything, and strikes here is a fatalness. Okay, like I said, there's different words to mean striking. Struck kind of more or less implies killing somebody. Strikes anything, that's this word that's going to have 2 different meanings, but the object here is it's here and it's going to be their loss. So they've injured them pretty bad, and they work, and they say if it was at harvest time, he can't gather his crops. The other guy who injured him, he has to pay for that loss. Okay, until they are healed. Okay. So not completely healed, until they're healed, because even at you can still be bruised pretty bad, even an injury that's you're still able to get up and start helping yourself and doing things even though it hurts. You're done. That's the time that I'm saying is what we're seeing here as the limit of how many days this injury takes is to be made up for that loss. Now it comes down to who struggles or strikes a woman with child and she has a miscarriage, and yet there is no injury to her. Yes, striking her in the belly, pushing her down causes miscarriage. But it's not an injury to her itself that has the miscarriage. They will pay and be judged life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand. Okay? Now that is where you hear this. And it's about a woman who has had with child and causes the miscarriage. Okay? You got to understand that life at this time, children died soon. So if it's caused a miscarriage, it's still against the birth and then dying. So it was this law is judge life for life. So if he killed the baby, he's dead. Whoever struck the woman is dead, not just he. But if there is no miscarriage, and you'll judge for her eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand. So you can see that this eye for eye and tooth for tooth against anybody else is not the truth. And Jesus tried to teach it. What it seems like is the judges took this and carried it too far. Okay? So that's how those words are related to eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Kills or gores, this is about an ox. A male or female ox will be stoned, and the meat will not be eaten. So you can see that these are 2 verses, 2 small paragraphs together make a verse, okay, or make a larger paragraph. So you can see that some of them are here and some are not here. Here it's about digging a pit, okay, an open pit. Well, if he dug it, not that there was an open, he has to be responsible. That male or female has to be responsible for the digging. So if it digs, I'm using the word digs, not opens. And not with having a cover. Well, the object was to capture an animal, so it had to have a covering. So it has to be a warning around it, where people would see maybe just 2 sticks out there on both ends, or 4 sticks around the area someplace, to say that's enough for the warning. Okay, animals, they wouldn't care whether the sticks are, but it would be recognizable that that is a pit. Okay. um, seems to be added. I need to do that. I've added that word. Falls in the pit. The owner of that pit will make good, not restitution, good. Let's keep to using the words for 12-year-olds to be able to read and understand the text. Very important for them to learn as soon as they can. And I feel at 12, they should be reading the text. Before then, you should be guiding them in everything. Sabbaths, or holy days, are very important for that reason. They're supposed to hear that you understand, you have a belief today of our Creator existing, and you'll be reading from the text to tell them different things and explaining it to them. So it doesn't need to be all day long teaching, but it should be something that is done in the morning so they can come and ask you questions later in the evening. Okay, it finds that livestock and slaughters it or sells it, they are to pay. And I put 1/5. I had, it was, yeah, I added the word one here. I can remember this because when I can remember, because these things are so close, I tap them all the time when I'm doing this. So that was an error. I added the word one, not that you pay a and 5 livestock and 5. It's a 5th to the owner immediately. Okay. An oxen, and 4 sheep. So this is kind of like, if you do an oxen, you got to pay oxen plus some. Other places, our Creator does define this 1/5 more. Okay. And that's in a theft of things. So I'm using it as here as to be 1/5 for the livestock and 1/5 more. Okay. They will pay double. Um, Meaning that they've stolen and trying to keep it. Yes, I know they're confusing the rules right now. I need to go through, and a lot of this I'm not going to clean up until I start putting all the text together. But here you can see already the confusion of paying double. So I might have to pay 1 1/5 here. But I'll explain it why I'm changing it later as well, as to make sure that I don't have one ruling in there. You go later and you say, well, this rule doesn't follow that rule. I'm trying to get rid of all them errors or mistakes. And this is about their livestock grazing on another field, and they are to pay a fee or give produce to them. It depends what's going to happen and eat. Did they come into the garden and eat? Did they come into the field where they've got things planted, eat? To cover both those areas, have to give them produce amount of money for, say, that they come in and ate up the wheat, because sometimes, like I said, sheep wander into the field, they are going to eat the roots as well. Goats come in, the roots be left, and it'll regrow. So you got to understand why I'm putting in the words by paying a fee and or give produce to them. Someone causes a fire and it breaks out and spreads in someone else's field, they are to give them equal, not just restitution, but give them equal in money or livestock. So again, this is relating to this here. When you see this law and then this law, they are common. That's the penalty for this. Do I put in 1/5? I don't believe that's going to happen here. Goods to keep is going to be in here, but there's no text, so I don't need to go through and explain a lot. Of condemns to denounce. I like the word denounce better than condemn, but I think it's so close that you can tell that I'm not going to make that yellow. Property are goods at that time. So pay half, not pay double. So here I've got half. But these aren't borrowed things. To do work, borrows any animal to keep. No, that's pretty much up here. No, found in the live and in their possession is can't be a double of the text. So here, man gives, borrows. It's borrowing animal here, an ox to work or a donkey to carry things. So do work. If it is driven away, or meaning if it is taken or lost, the animal can wander away and no one is looking. So no one saw it, or somebody's come along and sold the animal. The borrower will pay stolen or it's hurt, and will make it good. I had to put in case the animal got hurt because I'm reading the text that it wasn't there, because the animal can get injured from doing too much work. So I had to include that. When I'm thinking these and going through these, a lot of times I don't see that until I've looked at the text and got it all cleaned up, keep reading it, and I'm realizing that none of this is talking about if the animal's hurt. So to include it in one of them, I put it in this one, to be hurt. And it has to be a female virgin. Okay, males are supposed to be virgins as well before they marry. But if a male seduces a female virgin, because if she's married, she knows what's being done, so it has to be the female virgin that isn't aware of them seducing. You have to remember they were married at the age of anywhere from, I would say, 13, 14, 15 years old. But the object is that they have to be virgins here in this. She has to become his wife at that time. Because other than that, it's adultery. Okay. So the thing here is marries with a female virgin, and it's not described as adultery that she becomes his wife. Then this has to be a female virgin at that time. You'll not allow sorcerers. Sorceress. Well, it's a diviner. Those I've explained it before what diviners are, and they're practicing by saying there's such thing as luck, or this is what's going to cause it, or there's no such thing as luck. Everything is as it is, because our Creator has planned everything out, and everything you say, and then gives you the more evil you do, the more worse you become. As you know, that's, you've grown up with people and you see that evilness. Example, those that steal, keep stealing, they hurt people. You think they're going to change later? Not unless they actually try repenting. They get worse and worse. Who marries with an animal, or who caused them to marry. I had to add this text here because there is nothing here. This does remain two verse. There's no way I can say these words to these to make them mesh together, because we're talking about a diviner here. And that verse has to be put in, because otherwise in those two verse, what happens to them? To live means they're going to be stoned to death. So I'm just putting in the third verse and what it would mean, what they were doing with these people, make examples out of them. Everybody is supposed to partake of that death of them, or at least in that community or in that area. But here, should I say that this was never a law? No, this would have been a law. This would have been definitely something that, because our creator is going to go through the land and he's killing these people off that have sex with animals, intermarriage, um, incest people. These, um, the farther away you get, the lower your moral standard is. I've heard low moral people argue, example about abortion today. Killing a baby is actually murder, and the woman is allowing murder to happen. So don't tell me abortion is different than the word murder. Okay. Um, both of them should be the person that's doing it. Can you imagine abortionists and their whole family is eating and existing because they're murdering babies? What an awful life. If, if there's anybody that deserves to go to hell, there is the person. There is one group of people that should ever go into. They're killing babies for them to actually live and eat food. What kind of existence is that? I know that's even their children have to have a conscience of what the hell's my father or mother doing? And then they're corrupt because they're born into it. Our creator is trying to get rid of this crap off the land that they're going to. So I know it has to be said. This is, or who caused them to marry, is a perfect example of putting that word in, because some people are forced. I mean, do you think people today weren't forced into having sex with animals? People are ruthless today because they don't think our creator exists. Okay, I've got 3 more minutes here. So, who sacrificed to another god, they are to be stoned to death. In other words, it's kind of following along with our creator's guidelines of commandments. Then it talks about the traveler in the land, in your land, the land that he's going to give to him. So we can see that maybe some of these laws should go later. As you can see that later, maybe this is actually at Joseph giving these laws, or Ezra, who becomes who replaces Aaron as the high priest. And our creator would talk to him and then been telling them these. So don't think these all just came from Moses, through Moses. Widow and their cry will be heard, and I don't see no punishment for them here. And I didn't want to create 3 verses. So you'll see that this next group is completely missing. And I think I'm going to end it there. Well, let's see. Not charge them extra, or interest is extra. Not eat from any beast, not flesh, but the meat. They knew they weren't supposed to eat the skin or hide. To follow along with the crowd to do evil or stop his justice, pervert justice. You'd be stopping his justice, saying stoning. Somebody come on, don't do that. Like women today, don't. There's no such thing as that. Don't kill a guy. He killed my daughter. He killed my son, and I forgive him. Idiots. You're stopping his justice. So we need to get back to obeying our creator. It's not a belief, it's a way of life. Okay? When you truly trust him, it's your way of life. Be fair and righteous. That's pretty much understandable to say in a dispute, you're supposed to not take one side other from a poor person in a dispute. You still have to have fair and righteousness by understanding everything, because here you don't take a bribe. So these 2 verses would go together. Yeah, I was thinking I was going to come to a spot to where all this was going to stop, and I know it's going to stop pretty soon here, but that's going to be for the next video.